What's up YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel, and today I have an updated Red Eyes Black Dragon deck profile for you guys. Today, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, why didn't you say anything on social media? I was going to say something on social media. I was gonna say something in yesterday's video, but unfortunately, Nexus had some problems with their AI system, because if you guys did not know, the way I test my decks, I use their AI system where you can customize your AI. You know what deck they play. What master rule they go by. How many life points you can have. How long a turn can be. That type of deal. And I always test, and I always go by just some of the more interesting decks that you can play against. Such as like frogs and and Sky Striker and whatnot. And I tested out this version, this Red Eyes deck with, I think, the frog deck. I don't remember. Yesterday, about a few hours after yesterday's video was posted. I have to admit, this deck is pretty easy to play if you know how to play it. As far as like the monsters go, it's pretty much the same, but I made it more of a 40 build rather than a 45 build. I took a few cards out. I added a couple of cards in, and the side deck is pretty much different from the last build. The extra deck is sort of the same. I took a few cards out, added in some new ones, and I have to admit, this is a pretty crazy deck. So hopefully you guys enjoy this deck profile. If you guys do, and you guys enjoy this deck profile, excuse me, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you guys turn on the notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any future content that comes your way. And as always, make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and on Instagram. The links will be in the description below. And of course, for fan mail, if you guys want to send me fan mail, the info will be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. First up, obviously, if you are playing a Red Eyes Black Dragon deck, you gotta have the the Holy Trinity of the one Dark Magician, the three Red Eyes Black Dragon, and the one Summon Skull. As always, I am using the Arcana Dark Magician. I am using the starter deck Joey Red Eyes, the 3 copies, and of course the Anniversary Pack Summon Skull, because the artworks look amazing. You gotta have these 3 to help you go into the Archfiend Skull Dragon, and of course the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. Plus, with Red Eyes Black Dragon, you can go into the Red Eyes Slash Dragon or your Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, all of which I am running in the extra deck. So you gotta have these. Plus, funny enough, with a card like Return of the Red Eyes, you can actually summon back from your graveyard, Summon Skull, as long as you have a Red Eyes on board. You can summon pretty much any of the 5 vanillas that you have in your grave. Summon them, and it'll help you go into your Link plays, or perhaps your Xyz plays, depending on what you want to do. Next up, we got the 1 copy of Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. I know that a lot of people will say, "Oh, this card's better at 3. Oh, you should definitely play 3." Yeah, it is true that the card is back up at 3. But the only problem is that the new errata of Red MD isn't as powerful as it was with the last errata. So with this new errata, the effect reads: you can special summon this card from your hand by banishing a face-up dragon you control. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. During your main phase, you can special summon one dragon from your hand or graveyard, except Red MD. You can only use this effect once per turn. So basically it's basically a cyber rev system where you can summon a cyber dragon from your hand or graveyard. That's what Red MD is. And the way they errated it is, I believe they errated the summoning condition was what they errated. So yeah. So yeah, but I'm only playing it at 1 because from the way I was playing this deck, I was only using Red MD once, and then just linking this card and, like, I'll say, another Red Eyes monster into this card and 2 more monsters into a triple burst dragon, or 4 into an Appaloosa or something like that. So, but still, you only need 1 copy. I know some people say it's better at 3. It's better at 1 because if you open with if you open with multiple copies of Red MD, it's essentially going to be a brick. So that's why I prefer to play this card at 1. Next up, we have 2 copies of Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon. This card is just a house. It's absolutely insane. So the effect reads: cannot be normal summon or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing 1 Red Eyes monster from your hand or field. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your grave, except this card, special summon it, and if it was a Red Eyes Black Dragon that was special summon, its original attack is doubled. Excuse me. So basically it acts as a monster reborn for Red Eyes when it's sent to the graveyard. So in a scenario where this card were to be destroyed, you can summon Red Eyes from your graveyard, activate Return of the Red Eyes, special summon another, special summon the Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon, which I will get to here in a second. Overlay them into like a say a big eye, and you instantly have a snatch steal right off the bat. Or what you can also do is go into a Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Or if you are feeling frisky, you can go into Dark Arm the Dragon of Annihilation, which I'm running in the extra deck, and I'll explain why later on once we get into the extra deck. So it's basically a 1-card Monster Reborn, basically, which is really cool. Next up, we have 2 copies of Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. This card may be a Gemini, but when it's summoned, it's basically a vanilla. But if you Gemini normal summon it, which is the proper term, it gains the effect where it reads: if damage count is performed involving this card at the end of the battle phase, you can inflict damage to your opponent equals to this card's original attack, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So basically, it acts as sort of like a ring of destruction of sorts, but it's only one-sided, which is absolutely insane. Not much else to say about that. Plus, it's a good target for Return of the Red Eyes. For Return of the Red Eyes, because Black Flare Dragon is technically considered a vanilla, which is absolutely hilarious, actually. Next up, Next up, we have the one Eyes Wyvern. I'm only choosing to run one copy because you don't really, because you're gonna be doing a whole lot of special summoning off of, like, off of the Red MD and the alternative, and of course the Blackstone Legend, off of the Monster Reborns and Return of the Red Eyes and Dragon Lords and whatnot. You're gonna be doing a whole lot of special summoning, and Eyes Wyvern is another card that just helps further your plays a little bit. And the effect reads: once per turn during your end phase, you can banish the card from your grave, target a Red Eyes monster in your grave, special summon that target. You cannot normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect. So you would literally have to trigger the effect of Wyvern during your main phase 2. That way you won't succumb to the negative effect of the Red Eyes Wyvern. Next up, we got the one copy of Red Eyes Retro Dragon. This is basically one of your 3 hand traps that you're running in this deck. Obviously, we got the 2 Ash Blossom and the 2 Ghost Bell, but Red Eyes Retro is another hand trap that is actually not too bad. So the effect reads: if a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster or monsters you control is destroyed by your opponent's attack or card effect and sent to your grave while this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card in defense, and if you do, special summon as many of those destroyed monsters as possible in the same position they were in when destroyed. You contribute this card. You can normal summon 1 Red Eyes monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. So in a situation where your opponent were to activate, let's say, Dark Hole, you can trigger the effect of the Red Eyes Retro Dragon, special summon it to your field, special summon it in defense, and resummon all the monsters that were destroyed by that Dark Hole, because Dark Hole is considered a card effect. So in that sense, it's as if your board was never wiped clean, basically, which is just absolutely insane. Plus, you do get a second normal summon, which acts as sort of like a Nathan the Starlight, which I believe Nathan's effect reads: if this card is special summon, if this card is special summon, inflict 800 damage to your opponent, then a face-up monster your opponent controls loses 800 attack and defense. You can only use this effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Blackwing monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain the effect once per turn. Yeah, so basically it acts as sort of like a Nathan the Starlight, where you're able to normal summon again in addition to your original normal summon, which is really good, which is absolutely insane. Next up, we have the 2 copies of Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight. The reason why I have this card is because of the Red Eyes Slash Dragon, because Slash Dragon requires a warrior in order to summon it. Let me rephrase what I just said. I apologize, guys. Red Eyes Slash Dragon requires Red Eyes Black Dragon and a warrior, so you would need Red Eyes, and Gearfried in order to summon Slash Dragon, which is actually a really great, like, Red Eyes fusion target. It can even also be, just a regular, poly target, which is just really cool. But funny enough, Gearfried has a very interesting effect. It's sort of similar to the original Gearfried, which I believe Gearfried's effect reads: if either player equips an equipped card or a card to this card, destroy it. So it's sort of similar, but its effects are so much better. It's basically Gearfried on steroids. Excuse me. So its effect reads: once per turn, if either player equips an equipped card or cards to this card, You can destroy those equipped cards and destroy a spell trap your opponent controls. Once per turn, you can send one equipped card you control that is equipped to this card to the grave. Target a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your grave. Special summon it. So basically, it's just a way to. It's basically a way to just completely pop one of your opponent's back row, and then just go ahead and reborn, one of your Red Eyes monsters directly to your field. But you're mainly using Iron Knight to summon the Slash Dragon, which actually I need to switch up the side deck. I just realized there's a card that I need to put. I just realized I need to put these two in. I apologize, guys. I completely forgot to put in some cards into the side. There we go. Okay, there we go. There we go. A little bit better. Anyway, yeah. Basically, it's Gear Free on steroids. It's an MST Monster Reborn. Not much else to say about that. And then to round up the Red Eyes monsters, we got the 2 copies of the Black Stone of Legend. Basically, it just helps you go into Red Eyes a lot quicker, and to help you go into your Exceeds plays a lot quicker. And then for the rest of the monsters, as I had just mentioned, we got the 2 Ash Blossom and the 2 Ghost Spell. For the spells, we got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, nice little back row removal. Not much else to say about that. We got the 2 Red Eyes Fusion to help you go into pretty much any of your fusions that you may want to summon. We got the 1 the 2 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords as a way to just further your plays and to just completely annihilate your opponent. So this card not only acts as a Monster Reborn, but it also helps you go into your Link plays or your rank 7 plays, depending on what you have in your hand. If you have a if you have a fusion card in your hand, you can even go into your fusion plays as well. But it all depends on what you have in your hand. And Dragon Lords just helps further your plays to go into your Flare Metal Dragons, your Big Eyes, your Triple Burst Dragons, or whatever. It all just depends. We got the 2 copies of Polymerization. You gotta love the classics. We got the 2 Cards of the Redstone, which is essentially a Pot of Greed. Not much else to say about that. So its effect reads: send 1 level 7 Red Eyes monster from your hand to the grave, draw 2 cards, then you can send a level 7 Red Eyes monster from your deck to your graveyard. So basically, the question becomes, what are you sending to your graveyard from your hand and deck off of Cards of the Redstone? Red Eyes Black Dragon and Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon. Reason being is because if you have Dragon Lords and, let's say, Monster Reborn in your hand, you can activate Dragon Lords, resummon the Red Eyes, activate Monster Reborn, summon the Black Flare Dragon, and boom, you instantly have your rank 7. But if you drew one of your fusion spells, guess what you're gonna be summoning? You're gonna be summoning a fusion, which could be a Starving Venom, could be pretty much anything, literally anything, but it all just depends. And then, well, speaking of fusions, we have 2 copies of the Claw of Heramos to summon the Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, which is hilarious, in which there's a hilarious play with this card, with the sword. You are not gonna believe it. We got next up. We got the 1 Monster Reborn, the 2 Red Eyes Insight to help you search out the Red Eyes Fusion, which is really good. And then to round up the spells, we got the 1 Call By, because you want your plays to go through. For the traps, we only have 5 traps in this deck. We got the 2 Red Eyes Fang with Chain. I truly believe they could have wrote the effect a bit better, but they didn't. So its effect reads: target 1 Red Eyes monster you control, equip this card to it. It can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. You can send this equipped card to the grave Target one effect monster on the field. Equip that target to the monster this card was equipped to. And if you do, while a monster is equipped to it by this effect, its attack and defense become equal to the original attack and defense of that equipped monster. So in a scenario where let's say your opponent has boardload Savage Dragon and there's no and they have no outs to it, you can send Red Eyes Fang with Chang to your graveyard and then equip Gearfried to your boardload Savage Dragon, and it instantly becomes, let's see, it instantly has 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense, which is absolutely nuts. And plus, because that Gearfried has an MST effect. There you go. You can actually just do that, but you can also use Savage Dragon as a monster as a monster reborn fodder, if you will. So you basically just send Savage Dragon back into your opponent's graveyard, and then just resummon a Red Eyes from your graveyard, which is just absolutely insane. And speaking of bringing back Red Eyes from your graveyard, we got the one return of the Red Eyes, which is basically a monster reborn, and then we have 2 copies of Rebirth Judgment. And the reason why I have this is because it's basically a DNA surgery in the graveyard. So DNA surgery. So here's the funny thing about the cards that have DNA on it. There are only 3. You have DNA Checkup, Transplant, and Surgery. Checkup's effect. Checkup is a normal trap card, unfortunately, that reads: select one face-down monster you control. Your opponent declares 2 attributes. Reveal the selected monster. If its attribute is one of the declared attributes, your opponent draws 2 cards. If not, you draw 2 cards. So basically, it's either your opponent gets the Pot of Greed or you get the Pot of Greed effect. That's all it is. Transplant is a continuous trap that says activate by declaring 1 monster attribute. All face-up monsters become that attribute. So for something like this would be perfect for for decks like Blue Eyes and or whatever that have extra monsters where you need specific monsters to specific attributed monsters. Transplant will just help you. Now, DNA Surgery's effect says activate this card by declaring 1 monster type. All face-up monsters on the field become that type. This is perfect with the Arcana deck, which I did do a deck profile on. Which I believe I did do a deck profile on. If you guys have not checked out that video, I recommend checking it out. It's absolutely crazy. But Surgery basically just helps with the insect decks and whatnot. It's just absolutely insane. Surgery focuses on the board. Rebirth Judgment focuses it on the graveyard, and it's a once per turn. So it says once per turn you can declare 1 monster type. Monsters in both graveyards become that type for the rest of the turn, even if the card leaves the field. So let's say, for example, you summoned the Red Eyes. You summoned the Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, and you equip it to Dark Magician. Dark Magician would gain 500 attack and defense for each dragon on the field and in the graveyard. Plus, just for holding the card, just for holding the sword, he gains an additional 1,000 attack. So in that scenario, chain it to Rebirth Judgment. Pretty much every card in both your graveyard and your opponent's are dragon. That means Dark Magician's attack, there is no telling how much attack it can gain, which that right there is your OTK. That is your OTK. If you're able to get Dark Magician on board, equipped with the Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword, and chained with Rebirth Judgment, you essentially have one of your biggest win cons you could ever think of, which is absolutely insane. There are several other win cons, especially with the extra deck, but that's like one of your biggest win cons out there, which is just absolutely mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. Now for the extra deck, I'm actually gonna go from Fusion to Link, because that's how I want to do it this time. So first up, we got the one Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. This card is just absolutely insane. It basically deals double damage to your opponent. The first bit of damage is actually the battle phase damage. Once you go, that dog needs to shut the fuck up. That dog needs to shut the fuck up. Anyway, so the first bit of damage is the traditional battle phase damage. The second bit of damage is once you leave your battle phase, in which case you can send any Red Eyes normal monster that's in your grave, shuffle it into the deck, and your opponent takes that much damage. So if you target, let's say the Black Flare Dragon, because technically it is considered technically a vanilla, that's 2,400 damage to your opponent's face, shuffled back into the deck, which is absolutely insane. Plus, it's a 3,200 beat stick, so you can even also, or actually, I would say you could equip it to equip it with the sword, but unfortunately you can't. I tried before and it would not let me. But still, it's a 3,200 beat stick. Not too shabby. Next up, we got the one Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. There's really no words that can describe how crazy this card is. It can deal double damage when you fuse Red Eyes Black Dragon and Dark Magician together. Not much else to say about that. Plus, it's an Omni Negate. Not much else to say about that. We got the one Starving Venom, which can be used as which can be used as a super poly target, which I think could be used as a super poly target, but I actually chose not to add super poly into the deck because I already have 6 fusion cards. Obviously, the 2 Red Eyes Fusion, the 2 poly, and the 2 Claw of Heramos, sadly, but still, Starting Venom, still a house. Not much else to say about it. We got the one Red Eye Slash Dragon, which has a very interesting effect that reads when a Red Eyes monster declares an attack, you can target one warrior monster in your grave, equip it to this card as an equip spell that gives this card 200 attack. So it essentially becomes a 3,000 beat stick, which is pretty hilarious, but cute, I have to admit. When a card or effect is activated that targets a card you control, as a quick effect, you can send one equipped card you control to the grave, negate the activation, and destroy that card. This card can, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can spell summon as many monsters from your grave as possible that were equipped to this card. So if you had, like, say 2 cards equipped, that's two monsters on board really quickly, especially if they were like Red Eyes. Especially if they were your 7-star monsters, it helps you go into your rank 7 plays, which is just absolutely insane. Not much else to say about that. And then to round up the fusions, we got the 2 Red Eyes by Dragon Sword. Just a house with this card. For the Xyz monsters, you're gonna be surprised with what I have. So first up, we got the Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This basically acts as a Monster Reborn, but what's even more crazy is that it also acts as a what's that one? I gotta look it up. I don't know. I gotta look up the spells type. Continuous effect. I need burn. Burn. Where is burn? I guess it would be under damage life points, maybe? Let's see. I believe it would be considered under damage life points. So let's see. Hollow Giants, Mask of Dispel, Tri-Blaze, Burning Land, Backup Squad, Ever-Living Underworld Cannon, Cracking, Mass Driver, Sunny Snitch, Wave Motion, Syndrome, no. I don't remember which one it was. Oh, right. Oh, wait, no, that ain't it. Where is it? Oh, wait, I think, it's sort of like a coffin seller of sorts. I believe it's the one. Yeah. Basically, or it's kind of similar, of sorts, where basically it just helps you. It just helps further, it just helps quicken, the game state, if you will, by just dropping your opponent's life points down by 500 with each card effect. Absolutely insane. And again, it also acts as a monster reborn. But the only way you would gain the life point damage effect is if it has materials on it, and if it does, then you're good. If not, you're screwed. Not much else to say about that. Then, of course, we got the Dark Arm, the Dragon of Annihilation, and you guys are wondering why. What the fuck does this card do? So, this is a very interesting card. So, it requires 2 or more level 7 monsters. So, you obviously have, the 1 Dark Magician, the 3 Red Eyes Black Dragons, you got the 2 Alternative Black Dragons, and of course the Red Eyes Flare Dragons as well. And it's interesting because the effect of Dark Arm reads, once per turn, if you have exactly 5 dark monsters in your grave, you can also exceed summon this card by using one level 5 or higher Dark Dragon you control. As material, you can detach one material from this card, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it, then banish the card from your grave, and it cannot attack for the rest of the turn. So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. I don't think the effects is a once per turn, but it's still pretty cool. Plus, it's a 2800 B-Stick on board, so it ain't too shabby. Next up, we have probably one of the most anti-meta cards you could ever think of. Number 89, Diablosis the Mind Hacker. I talked about this when I did my Numeron deck profile and my Heartbeat deck profile. But if you guys never saw those videos, its effect reads: once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, look at your opponent's extra deck, and banish a monster from it, face down. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed a monster by battle, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, banish it face down. If a card your opponent owns and possesses banished face down while you control this card, except during the damage step, you can banish cards from the top of your opponent's deck face down equal to their face down banished cards. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what's interesting about this is that after each battle phase, the amount of cards that get banished from the top of your opponent's deck doubles each turn, and it basically just, and it's a way to force to basically deck out your opponent really quickly. It's a term in Yu-Gi-Oh used known as force deck out. What that means is with a card like this card, with a card like Diablosis, it just means that you're forcing your opponent to not be able to draw any cards at all in the next turn, especially if they have a pretty limited amount of cards in their deck, which is just absolutely insane. Next up, we got we've got the number 11 Big Eye, which is basically a snatch steal. And then, of course, number 28, Titanic Moth, which not only can attack directly if you have no other monsters on board other than this card, but the damage that your opponent takes is cut in half, which is unfortunate. But what's even more cool about this card is that when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you get to detach one of its materials and inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card in your hand. So in a scenario where they have 6 cards in hand, that's what, 1,200, let's see. That's 1,200, I believe, let's see. 1,200 plus 3,000, 4,200, they basically lose more than half of their life points, which is just absolutely insane. Now for the Link monsters, there's only 4, and they're pretty high up monsters. We got the one Boral Sword Dragon. We got the Darkness Metal, the Dragon of Dark Steel, which basically acts as sort of like a Monster Reborn of sorts, which is pretty nuts. We got the one Appaloosa as a Omni Negate, and then the Triple Burst Dragon to basically just to inflict piercing battle damage, and it also acts as a sort of like a Omni Negate for back row of sorts, which is pretty crazy. For the side deck, this is only my preference anyway, but you guys can choose whatever side deck cards you want, but this is just my preference. We got the 2 artifact Scythe and the 2 Lancia. Scythe is basically a way to prevent your opponent from summoning cards from the extra deck, which is really good. We got the 2 artifact Lancia in case if your opponent were to let's say activate call by on your, let's say, your ghost spell, but your opponent also chained a Twin Twister as an example, Lancia's effect would then trigger. It gets summoned. It would be summoned to your field in defense. Lancia now becomes the new Chain Link 3, and not only would it stop Callby from banishing Ghost Spell, but Ghost Spell's effect would also trigger no matter what, which is just absolutely insane. We got the one Red Eyes Baby Dragon as another way to summon out Red Eyes by, to summon out the Red Eyes by Dragon. So in a scenario where let's say Gear Free doesn't work out and it's essentially just a brick in your hand or something like that, you can side out the 2 Iron Knights for the one Red Eyes Baby Dragon, and then side out 2 of your other one other card for these next 2, which are the 2 Black Metal Dragons, which basically acts as sort of like a Rhoda for Red Eyes of sorts. So Black Metal Dragon's effect reads, you can target one Red Eyes monster you control, equip this card from your hand or field to that target. It gains 600. If this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can add a Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand. So it basically can just search out any Red Eyes to your hand no matter what, which is absolutely insane. And then to round up the monsters, we got the 2 Ghost Ogre to combo off, in combination with the Ash Blossom and the Ghost Spell. I've said it before. Ash Blossom, Ghost Spell, Ghost Ogre, 3 of the best hand traps in the format right now. I don't know why people are sleeping on Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell focuses on effects that trigger in the graveyard. Ash Blossom focuses on the deck. Ghost Ogre focuses on what's on the field currently, which is absolutely incredible. There are no spells in the side deck, but the traps, there are 6. We have the 2 Zing Zang Hu as a way to stop your opponent's back row from triggering. So in a scenario where they set 2 cards in their back row, once you reach end phase, you can activate Zing Zang Hu, target those 2 back row, and you're essentially just good, and you're essentially just off to the races there, which is absolutely insane. And then of course we got the 2 solemn strikes and the 2 solemn warnings. So all in all, this deck is absolutely insane. There's not much to say about this deck except, damn, this deck is a lot more better, a lot more consistent than normal. And what's even more crazy is that even with just you know, just the Archfiend Skull Dragon, you can easily win games just with the Archfiend Skull Dragon alone. So that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. And if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And as always, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. All the links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail you guys want to send me and you guys want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.